today we are going to start with Mr. Budi Lunin's traveling experience, how he travel and get a lot of visual experience, cultural experience, and then he transform in his own design thinking process. So that we are going to experience. So I welcome Mr. Budi Lunin for today's presentation, and I request him to start with that your presentation. Please come and good morning. Connect करना है.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. You're here again. Today, I will first do a presentation on my traveler experience, how I see the world. That's an introduction. And the second part of this presentation is all about how do I convey that experience into our designs in general, our creativity in general, and how we actually convey that into design that actually works, a design that actually you can actually apply on your own works, for example. But the first part is more an introduction about my travel experience. I think it helps you also a lot to inspire you what I did in the, let's say, the past 10 years. So first of all, I already introduced you, but I think for the people that are now watching live with me, I will do a very short introduction of who I am and how I become more a traveler, a creative globetrotter. So I waited before. I skip continue.
Friend, please repeatedly take. Yeah, please.
Yes, okay. So first of all, how do I really get in love with the business in general, creativity, drawing, etc., art? How do I get in love with that? So you see here, those are my pictures of my youth. I was a really small kid living on the countryside in the Netherlands together with my sister. My mom and dad had their own business. So I had a mentality of working hard, play hard, actually. But at that time when I was young, I really loved to draw a lot, just from instantly. I didn't have the mood to actually work in the business of my mom and dad because they were doing a lot of flowers, doing a lot of plants. They sell a lot of flowers and plants. But I didn't like that. I was more like in drawing the flowers. It was more like I like comic books, so I draw a lot of comic book figures. So that therefore I had a kind of ability to be in love with drawing and creativity. So I went to the Arts Academy in Rotterdam. It is one of the better academies in the Netherlands, besides from Breda as well in Amsterdam. But this one was really specialized on advertising, where I learned the business advertising and advertising design. There are actually almost no pictures of me because it was in the pre-era of iPhones, etc. So you see here, this is me. This is the only picture we have on my from the academy from behind. That's me. Okay. Okay. So what I learned there is really look at design, look at creativity, how we actually can use our thoughts, use our strategies, use our concepts to create good designs, good creative artwork. So eventually, I ended up in advertising companies I worked with. One of the latest companies I worked with before I went to this one, I worked a lot for the most expensive brands car brands in the world, like Lamborghini, Porsche, Bentley, etc. And I did the European campaigns for it. European campaigns as well, the national campaigns. There was quite a lot of demanding work. And but it is demanding, but as well I can unleash my creativity on those campaigns. Of course, we need to follow the brand identity. We need to follow the brand strategy. Of course, that was the task of the marketing and the strategist. But therefore, I get in love to be in love with the bigger brands. After that, I work also for other big brands. Probably you know it, Coca-Cola as well, T Telecom, and now I work.
Please talk about that previous one. How you visualize it? How you get an idea? Is it like how the design process get executed for these things? Like
So for example, we always get a briefing, and then I start with my work together. I always work in a team with with a copywriter. We always work in teams. I'm an art director. He or she is a copywriter, and we work together. Text, image, and we fuse that together. And we have a briefing. The first thing you do is never agree with the briefing at all. We always say, no, that's the briefing. We don't agree with it. The standards, you know. But that's what we do, because we need to have make a kind of distance, really kind of make a kind of a distance with the briefing to create a better work. So, for example, we came on this one.
Can we see some scribblings in your addition works of your team? How you approved the final design? Have you come to final one? From calls?
Final work.
Exposure to final one in any example.
Conceptual
Any
sketches and.
Conceptual sketches.
In the process.
Yeah.
I told you
Professionals do.
how many.
He wants to know how the process happens. How do you ultimately come to this thing? How do you start? What are the
Well,
sketches
that's what I'm explaining now. It's the briefing first, and then we disconnect ourselves with the briefing. The briefing itself is actually the assignment of the client.
Okay.
And then from there, we start actually creating about the ideas, but also look at what the client really want to tell. Sometimes we say we can create a good advertisement in this case, but sometimes we say, why do we need an advertisement? It works maybe way better to use kind of video movie on Instagram, for example. We just disconnect ourselves from the briefing, and that is needed, because otherwise you go in the flow what the client wants. That's we don't want, because we want to help the client in a way to look different at things. That's our task. This is how we work. From there, I create with the copywriter and me. I create a lot of brainstorm a lot about to create that campaign or create that kind of concept. Then after that, I review with my supervisor. That is in this case the marketing strategist or somebody of the client, and then we discuss. Then we actually review and give feedback to each other, and from there will be a kind of feedback. And there comes a second round of ideation and the final product. And from there, when it's approved by the client, then we go to different departments like design, editing, software, application, etc. That's how we work. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. But I have a long presentation, so okay. So from there, I worked a lot for a lot of brands. I can tell you it can be very demanding. So we need to be really firm in who you are, and that's okay. Because there's a big void sometimes in front of you, and all the people, they think they have other ideas, other opinions on the brand. So you be really firm together with the team. You stand really strong. Of course, after that, I went to No Tomato. I told you about that agency. This is a smaller agency, and it makes it a little bit better because you can more control the entire creative process. When you work in a big agency, you got a department of design that is maybe 30 people. Then you got a department of strategy that is a department of 30 people. Now this organization is just 15 up to 20 people. So the lines are shorter to communicate. For my opinion, this works a lot better because you can control a little bit more. You're more in direct contact with the people you are create something with. So, okay, this is the pictures you already saw. This is my advertising company I work today. But sometimes I need to take a step back. After several years, I want to go traveling because sometimes it's good to take a step back, drop everything you have and leave everything behind. Just go. So a lot of people, it's very scary. A lot of people think that it's too scary to go on a journey and they think already a lot. And sometimes a lot of people ask me, Budi, you travel so much, you saw so much in the world, you did a lot, you have a lot of inspiration of that. I want to do that too. And the only thing I said to them is, if you want to do it, just do it. Don't overthink it. Don't think it. Just go, because it helps you to leave everything behind, and it's good from you reset yourself all the time. And that is not only good for your personal life, but also good for your work you work in with, like the design and your own discipline. So love for traveling the world. The reason I travel is because I meet a lot of people, even when there's travelers, local people, because there are always differences, and I can learn from the differences. I am open to the world, so I have no bias. I have no any prejudices. I learn from different perspectives, different cultural differences. Also, a lot of people have different kind of opinions. If even travelers I meet in hostels, that it gives you a good understanding how they think, also good understanding for yourself. So you get a mirror in front of you all the time to think over a lot of topics you discuss with. But meeting people in general makes me also a happy person, because traveling is not traveling without meeting the people. So therefore, I always go to hostels. Probably a lot of people think of hostels. I share a dorm with somebody, or there's a common room, but you need meet people. You need meet people to get experience what you experience during your travels. But you also need people for better understanding of a certain topic, for better understanding of the country, for example. When I travel, I have also experienced a lot of cultures. For example, discovering a lot of food, traditions, dance, music, and history. It also helps you to actually, when you experience that, when you see that, you actually save it in your mind, and it's like a drawer, you know. When I go back to the Netherlands, and when I have a kind of briefing or assignment from a client that maybe apply, maybe an assignment from India, or maybe a similar like assignment from, I can use the things I experience here in India for my own designs, because it helps. From an European point of view, we don't know anything about Indian culture. Of course, we know the regular things like Bollywood movies, etc., and chicken tandoori, for example. But that is too simple. So I need to travel to know more about the country, but also see the differences, and also see the things I can use from and apply on my own creative artwork. Also, visiting places is also good for the reset itself. When you're high up the mountain, you're not thinking about work anymore. You totally exhausted and enjoy the view. But you need that. You need that to have a complete empty mind. And you also, and I always use that when I travel around, when I do my work, sometimes what are you going to do today is you do ideation today. And sometimes you need to take a step back, because you're always too into the work and need to take a step back. And this kind of things, whether I visiting places, go to the mountain, or go traveling at sea, walking the Chinese wall, it helps you to learn yourself to take that step back. Sometimes it's really hard, especially when I'm beginning traveling. It's more the pace, from vacation. Oh, we need to see that. We need to see that. We need to go there. Every day we do something new. But the longer you travel, that's why I need to travel at least 2 months or longer for to get in the pace of really slowing down. And sometimes you need that. Of course, get inspired in general by a different kind of art change perspective in art. What I see, for example, I really love the paintings here in India, just on the overpasses. You know, the buses here, the colorful buses. We don't do that in Europe. We are a little bit too boring, maybe for you, but I love that. So, but then, and it doesn't mean I want to apply that on a bus also, for example, in my country. But maybe we can use that for another campaign in the future. You never know. That's a drawer I told you about in the mind. Also, the love for the creative world. When I travel around the world for the past 10 years, I also worked at several advertising agencies. The first year I traveled around was more like traveling. I want to leave everything behind and see how it goes. And at the end of the first year, I realized, oh, my money runs out. So my budget, I don't have sufficient money anymore. So I decided maybe just walk in advertising companies and maybe see how that goes. Of course, I don't have a work permit, but I can go into those companies and say, hey guys, can I do something for you? From the Netherlands, I'm a good, what I think a good creative. And I'm, can I do something for you? Design or something in exchange for food or shelter or lodging. So a lot of companies did that. When I was in Argentina in Buenos Aires, I was there for a month and I bumped up in some people and during my hikes in the Andes, they said, "Oh, I am a creative at an advertising company in Argentina, and or in Buenos Aires." Says you can come, and then they invited me. I went there and stayed up for almost a month to do creative stuff. Go with the colleagues of Furia World. Yeah, that's very nice to experience, especially in Argentina. They really live life to the fullest. They really, because they don't do half work. We say they just really want to. Or it's good, or it's really bad. So they only want to have the good stuff. That is how they live. That is how Argentinians are. So that's you can really see the culture of the how Argentinians live and behave. You can also see that in the artwork.
So it's one possible question. What do you think that's your
Sorry,
slow burn?
slow burn. Slow burn is also mean. Argentinians also enjoy life like you. It's like, okay, we enjoy life. And sometimes it takes a little bit a step longer before they kicks off. But for example, sometimes they eat lunch for 3 hours. Okay, well, we need to start, right? We need to start. No, we need this. We need this. And then we talk during that lunch on that assignment. I didn't realize that this is the part of the process. So that's the slow burn. And then suddenly they kicks off. Yeah. That's the slow, but that's how Argentinians do. Not me, but how they do. Yeah. In French Canada, there are two types of culture in Canada. You have French Canada and English speaking Canada. The French Canadians are more like Europeans. Europeans are more like value quality of life. So when they work in advertising, they say, okay, we start at 9 and we quit at 4. And in English Canada, they value work over life. So there are two different kind of cultures. They said, oh, we need to work, and then we can create such awesome things at 1 o'clock at night. So I think it's not effective, but that's how they do it. And the French Canadians are a little bit similar, like the European culture. That's what I learned from the French Canadians. Also, they're full creative. They're all but the French Canadians are more overthinking a lot. More like, okay, this idea can work. Sometimes I said this idea can work, but then the French Canadians say, well, we need to think over that. We need to think over that. Maybe it doesn't work at all. So they think, in my opinion, a bit too much on that. But that's the culture. Sometimes it works. Well, I told you about English Canada. Well, I've been there also at James Walter Thompson and as well in Toronto. And they're full creative, but really 200% commitment, like overtime. It's very demanding job. Job first, your personal life comes in second place. So it is faster, bigger. What I told you about the French Canadians and the English Canadians, there's a totally two different worlds at all. And it works if you are full committed, but if you value life over work instead of work over life, then that is like English Canada or North American culture in general not really a place for you. So that's a lesson I learned. United States, this is a bit the same, but in the United States somehow they have a lot bigger budgets. It's almost like Hollywood, they throw with millions for a marketing budget, while we in the Netherlands we have this amount, and they throw with budget, especially when you work for the major brands, especially in New York. And there, I told you about the demanding culture and overtime in Canada, English Canada. When the United States is even more, it's almost 24/7. So it has to fit with you to go in that kind of culture. China, of course, I teach a lot in China, and China is very good in big tech. Really, there's almost no cash anymore. So they only do mobile payment or computer payment. What I learned there they always use the technology, or they use technology over creativity. So you have a good idea, but does it really apply on the mobile phone, or does it really apply on the computer? Because otherwise we don't do that idea. Well, maybe that other idea, maybe an advertisement or a guerrilla campaign on the street works way better. No, that's not in China. That's they think a little bit differently. Also, hierarchy is a big thing. We in the Netherlands or in Europe, we're pretty equal on each other. Even the creative director on the same level like designers. So hierarchy is a big thing. As design people say, as I say, you go to the left, all the students go to the left. So you need to think for yourself. It's very hard to get into that culture of think for yourself, think what you really want to do. And it's a copy culture. It is really a copy culture. They copy everything. They even copy a lot of stuff from the internet and created their own. But they say they only change the name on it. And that's how Chinese do. Better copy than have a bad idea, they say. So that's you need to think also twice when you look at work, especially when even the students do that at really young age. When I meet the students from your age, they copy a lot, and then sometimes I force to create the work in class, like drawing, etc. So they can copy it from a mobile phone. So if I like digital work, I almost don't do that in China because I know maybe over the half of it will rip work from the internet. So it's also good for their own process. And of course, in Europe, about quality, about the creativity, we value life over work, but we are more downplaying. When we in the United States, everything is bigger size, better. And in Europe, we say, calm down, everything comes well. Do normal. That's how we do it in Europe. Yeah, but we still think out of the box a lot because we have a lot of great brands to work with, and we value that idea. So there are a lot of differences. Yeah, you saw that. So this is my first part of the introduction of traveling. But there's one thing in common that I see in the entire world. That is the love. A love for a brand, person, product, or a team, for example, or a band. For example, love for each other. People love each other for marriage, family. I love my parents. There's love. There's also love for brands. I love Apple a lot, but also a lot of other brands. People, you like Indian brands, or you like other worldwide brands. The love for that brand is huge. I like Netherlands a lot because it's my home country, because it's my part of my heritage, part who I am. The love for your own country. Do you love you love your own country, India? Love for movies. Why do we actually love those movies? It's because it's you like it. It's you, this is a part of we want to have after work to for your hobby, for looking at stuff. Love for music. It doesn't really matter what kind of music. It's because you really fall in love with the music. You dance on it. You dopamine level in your mind rises because you love it.
Dance.
Sorry?
Do you love Bollywood dance?
No, I just put the picture in. But I think you know what I mean. You love that kind of music. I love Martin Garrix, the guy, because it's EDM. It's really European Dutch dancing DJ EDM culture. Of course, love for design in general. I love to look at cars. I love to look at industrial design. Why does it actually work? Of course, everybody love art, whether it's Van Gogh, Vermeer, Mondrian, Picasso. Everybody like art. Everybody love art, and it doesn't really matter in which part of the world you are, even from India, from the Netherlands, Canada, France. Everybody loves something, and that love is the most common thing in the world. And why do I love? Of course, I love my football team, like Budi. I love to teach. I love to play sports, judo. I love to teach. But love in general, why do we love it? Do you know that? And I'm going to do this in this presentation. I also do this is the second part of the presentation is how do we use that love? Actually, if we actually unravel that love, how actually can use this if we know how it works for our own designs. This I'm gonna explain it to you. Love is actually a part what actually we call that the limbic brain in your mind. The limbic brain is a part is where everything is stored everything is stored there, but it is not rational. Everything is stored there, what's based on emotions. Emotion regulation, emotional memory, pleasure, and the motivation actually comes from that pleasure or emotions. It is a deeply embedded sense why you like or love something. Memories, faded memories, unconsciousness, etc. So, can you express when you are in love with someone? From an irrational point of view, how we actually express ourselves. It's like we say we have butterflies in our stomach, or we are with our head or with our thoughts in the clouds. We say in the Netherlands we say sometimes you have pink glasses because you fall in love. Wings to fly. That is how we want to try to express love to someone. But actually, from a rational point of view, it's very clinical. It's very like, okay, from a rational point of view, when you're in love, your dopamine level in your mind rises. You actually you want to act to be in search to contact someone. And from a rational point of view, you have irrational behavior because sometimes you do things you probably don't do. That's from the rational point of view. So if we look at the Sterrennacht van Van Gogh or the Star Night from Van Gogh, very famous painting. If we look at this from a rational point of view, what do we see? We see warm and cold feeling, depression, delirium, vertigo. That's from the rational point of view. If we observe from a rational point of view, we say, oh, it's good composition, golden ratio use, dark colors, blue colors. So you see two different things of how you approach a kind of painting or to love with someone. Somehow it doesn't really capture why you like it. We want to make it rational, but we can't. So this is an essential part to realize. When you're in love with someone, I showed you the music, I showed you the football teams you like. A lot of people can't really describe why you love it. It is a sense of, it is a feeling. So many companies, creators, and media outlets often rely on incorrect reasons in the hope that clients and customers will favor for them, because they use actually from a rational point of view, not the irrational ones. Sometimes they create and they think it applies for a target group. So if we look back on the business on companies and brands, it is a really essential part to realize a lot of companies think, okay, we're going to make something that's applied for you, but that's from a more rational point of view. From my opinion, you can actually use the irrational point of view because they really touch people in the hearts. So if we go back, a lot of companies do it for the wrong reason, like the rational point of view, the cheaper prices, bigger amounts, claim they are bigger and better, the latest features, new features, quality, usability, reliability. Those are the rational points of view. A lot of companies communicate with that. They think, okay, if I use this kind of motivations, argumentations, a lot of companies think, okay, a lot of people will buy my stuff, buy my products. This may work for the short term, not for the long term. You will not be remembered. And then everything, so there comes the limbic brain comes back for emotions, irrational feelings, the feelings you have. If we can touch that, if brains can touch that, it will be fitted for the long term. So I have a quote. If you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. That's the quote, famous quote by Albert Einstein. So if you just do what we did and you get it, that's it. But that's not how the world works, right? So we need to do it differently. So you don't attract clients by creating what suits for them. You draw in clients when you resonate with your values, aligning them with their own inner values and emotions. Then we come back on the limbic brain because your values and aligning them with their inner values and emotions, everything comes back on the limbic brain. Everything can be tracked back on that part in your brain. This is a quote of one of my favorite marketeers, Simon Sinek. People don't buy what they do. They buy why you do it. And what you do simply proves what you believe. So it's about what you believe in as a company, what you actually stand for. So it always starts with why. If you ask to the client the why question, it always really hit the emotional part. Sometimes it's very irrational when you have about the outcome of that client when you ask this kind of question, but it helps. It helps to be a sustainable brand for the longer term, to be a sustainable, better artwork for the longer term. So first you look at yourself. What I now will show you, this is what Simon Sinek always said in marketing terms, the golden circle of Simon Sinek. We always use that in our company. A lot of other companies use that too, to actually touch people from the heart. First of all, you ask the why question with a purpose. A very few organizations know why they do it, what they do instead of what they do. So why is not only making money, that's a result. Why is purpose, cause, and belief. And cause and belief is again hit that emotion I was talking to you about. It is a very reason your organization exists. The second part is the how question. So after you ask the client the why question, you need to figure out the how we accomplish that why. Specific action to realize the why. Some organizations on the planet know how they do it. These are the things that make them special or set them apart from the competition. And the final part, that's all the companies are doing. That is the what. What do you do? The research of why. Proof. Every organization knows what they do. These are the products they sell or services. I just told you about business on the shorter term. Business on the shorter term, they always focus on the what. They know what they do. They know, okay, I make a phone or I make a radio, but never ask themselves why they do it. That intrinsic motivation you really need to get in touch and have a long sustainable brand. So Apple, for example, a very famous brand, a lot of people don't figure out why they actually love Apple. I like Apple. So we need to figure out why. So if we apply this, the why, how, what question, we can see the following. So if you ask the why question on Apple, Apple would say, we believe in challenging the status quo and doing this differently. So they want to actually kick some ass against the establishment. That is what they want to do. How they want to accomplish that? How are they going to do that? The specific action to realize the why. Apple says, our products are beautiful designed and easy to use. And what is the result? That's the proof. Apple makes computers, technology, and mobile devices. This is a very basic part of what Apple do. It is very basic, but very effective, because a lot of people, like you, or some people, or like me, I like Apple a lot. I'm not looking at, if we look deeply, we're not looking at computers. I'm not looking at the computers. I look at the philosophy of Apple. I love they do some things differently because they want challenging the status quo. I'm not probably don't say that right now, but that's how their vision is. And because of that vision, you will get touch with it. If I align with that value, of course. But we achieve more if we chase the dream instead of the competition, that Simon Sinek said. So sometimes that's why a lot of brands compete with each other, because they have different values. They have different kind of emotions. So some people here like Coca-Cola, some people like Pepsi-Cola. The purpose of the why is different. So that's why they have a different kind of group that really love their brand. Coca-Cola says the purpose of Coca-Cola is to refresh the world and make a difference. Well, the purpose of Pepsi-Cola is create more smiles with every sip and every bite by creating joyful moments. It looks almost the same, but it isn't, because how they do it, how they accomplish it is in a different way of how they promote themselves. So Coca-Cola want to be an established Coca-Cola brand, a genuine real cola. Well, Pepsi-Cola is more a rebellious counter movement for the young generation, faster, quicker, and hipper. You see here, the value is really important because Coca-Cola's values are different from the Pepsi ones. And that values also hit the group they want to actually hit in their hearts. So you see also difference more, Coca-Cola is a bit more not really traditional, but more like in a genuine sense of happiness. Well, the Pepsi Cola is more like hip and awesome. Also, another example is Adidas and Nike. The purpose of Adidas is built on a passion for sports and sporting lifestyle. Well, Nike is to bring inspiration, innovation to bring to every athlete in the world. So the focus is either very different. Adidas is focused on the find your inner sports vibe, from a European German way of thinking, or German way how we approach sports. Well, Nike is focused more on ambition and winning, because Nike itself, the name Nike means victory. It's from ancient time from the Greek Nike. So that is also embedded in their name. But Adidas is more an established name of the founder, Adidas. Of course, here the values are different again, and those values really helps you to touch either individual of you. But of course, you see also different kind of branding as well. Also different kind of shoes. So branding in general, or when you create artwork, you are a brand by yourself. You can see a brand add value. If you're a really sustainable brand, you don't, for example, you see a cup here, a cup without brand, maybe that's cheap, maybe $1, $2, whatever. If you add a brand to it, like Starbucks, it suddenly the price is $2 more expensive. But that's the business part of the brand. The brand in general is more about, do I love that brand or not? So this is not meaning one of the products is better over the other. It is simply different. That is, I really want to tell you. For example, we have Apple and Windows computers or PCs. That doesn't mean both either one are better. No, it's not that, because it's simply different. Because one person really loves Apple and Nike, and the other guy loves Windows and Adidas. It doesn't mean that the other guy is bad or worse or better. It's about how that person is, because he's too different. He's different than you. Every individual is different. So we need to approach a lot of people in a different way. So how does it work in other branches? And there comes another part in it. Working hard for something we don't care about is called stress. Working hard for something we love, it's called passion. Especially passion. That's the part we need to talk about, especially when you talk in other branches for your own artwork. Passion is also a part of the limbic brain. It's also a part of emotions in how you move, how you behave in certain ways. For example, Picasso. Picasso really loved his artwork and what he do. Some people think Picasso was, especially when you read the books about him, he can be a really eccentric guy. Probably not how I live my life, at the fullest, what he did. But you can feel his passion, because you can feel his way of how he saw the world, how he actually how he actually achieved his goal of cubism. Cubism is a kind of certain way he looks at the world, and he wants to actually to share that with you. Not all the people would like it. Not all the people would know this kind of motivation he used for his own artwork. But a lot of people said he did it a lot with full commitment. That's the passion. A lot of people would say, I really love him because he really put so much effort in it. Also Van Gogh, he brings consolation into humanity through art. However, Van Gogh was so committed to his artwork, he became depressed. And eventually he cut his ear off, one of his ears, and make a self-portrait. You see it on the bottom. Because he was so committed of what he believes in. He became so committed, he became depressed. Actually, Vincent van Gogh sold actually one painting in his life. One painting. You probably don't believe that. But after he died, soon after that, his paintings would become, they were valued, they're valued so high, there's millions nowadays, because of millions to buy a Van Gogh painting. Because everybody saw later what his lifestyle was, became so depressed of his commitment, but they saw that commitment, that passion in his paintings. That's why they love it. Also, it looks beautiful, but that wasn't the case. They feel the passion, but he put all the efforts in that paintings. Also, Leonardo da Vinci, 500 years ago, he created faithful renditions of life. So he actually used the scientific way of observation and virtually believed in logic, reason, and empirical evidence. So what he actually did, why people still love Leonardo da Vinci, because he got a passion in observation, and he had the talent of the things he observed, put that on paper, and also the passion of thinking in a totally different way. He was one of the first creating a kind of helicopter, or he created kind of plane, but because he believed in that. He really believed we can make that. And maybe not in his time, but maybe later. That's why a lot of people still like his artworks. because everybody feel that passion, that same purpose, actually what he had. Okay, so Porsche. If I apply on my one of my favorite car brands, also I work with, it's like Porsche is a high performance sports car that are fun to drive through heritage, style, technical excellence. But it's not about that because for a lot of people, it's a status symbol when you have a Porsche, when you have a big fancy car. But a lot of people really love Porsche. They love the purest form of auto mobility. They love the purest form of car performance, and that is what Porsche is really actually using for their own brand, for their own values, and sell it to you. Therefore, like Porsche and Lamborghini, the biggest sales are not the cars. The biggest sales are actually in merchandise. So, because a lot of people can afford a Porsche, but they will still love the brand. They still love what Porsche believes. They believe that too. So they buy keychains, etc., because they really love that brand. Dutch design in general. Dutch design is characterized minimalist, experimental, innovative, quirky, and humorous. Dutch design is a simple and very powerful design. What you see is what you get, but in a very innovative way. So that's how our Dutch design is. A lot of people love Dutch design because it is from our, not only what we believe, it's also part of our culture. Our culture is what you would say kind of a basic culture. We say we have an expression, do normal, then you are funny enough. That is how expression is. And that same culture, that same mentality, we put that in Dutch design. So let the chair have 4 legs, still have 4 legs. That's it, but you can do anything with those legs. So that's the way how Dutch design is. And a lot of people like that in a way. Not all the people like Dutch design, but the people really love it. They love our purpose, but especially how we actually, how our mentality is. And of course, Martin Garrix, one of my favorite DJs, his goal is not just make music. He makes music to touch the world. He makes music to touch you. And a lot of people feel that because he really loves what he's doing. So really your values and beliefs will draw audiences who share similar values and beliefs. So don't look for your crowd. The crowd finds you, as long as it's genuine and real. So a quote from Oprah Winfrey: passion is energy. Feel the power that comes from focusing on what excites you. Everything, people with a lot of passion, everything when you do in your work, what I do, like traveling, people believe that. People really believe in that sense of purpose you have. And of course, the energy, it flows with you. But beware, if you create a lot of artworks, beware, it takes time and momentum to build your community around you. But a lot of people think okay, I can create artwork I really love. Maybe in 6 months, I will sell a lot of artworks. That doesn't work that way. You need to build community. You need to build on your own brand as well when you invest in your own artworks. But you need to believe in that. So there's a passion again. So you have to be patient and keep believing what you're doing and also improve. So therefore, you need to claim the spots in somebody's minds. Again, the limbic brain, but also if nobody knows you and you think you can make artwork and everybody will know you within 6 months, that's way too short. You need to actually indoctrinate the people almost, like, show their artwork, promote your artwork all the time. And eventually people will like you, people will find you. Especially if you go back to brands, I show you Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola. Especially similar brands, you need to tell your story over and over again before you become aware of the brand, product, or artwork. So you can claim that spot in your mind. So we talked a little bit more about the journey, because that journey is very important to actually do it for the long term, to invest in that time for before you can get that, before you get that community and that community grows. So first of all, when you create an artwork, for example, or we create a brand, we need to focus on show yourself. That's what you need to see. Everybody needs to show their artwork. If you not promote your artwork, nobody probably knows you are a painter. Nobody probably knows you are an art director or a graphic designer. When people see you, they want to think about you. Okay, why do I like it? Why do I actually want to buy your artwork? Then there's the consideration. Some people saw it, but still don't know what's in for me. Why do I like it? So that's the thing part. Eventually, they will buy your artwork. Eventually, they say, okay, I really believe in what he's doing. I really believe in that brand. I will buy that shoes. I will buy that phone. Then they go acting. They go for sale, or they'll buy your artwork, or they will listen to your music. And the care part is also a very important part, because you need to keep your community satisfied by improving your product, but also interested, be in your community. If there's no interaction, eventually also the community will not grow, but actually decline. So key thing to and care is the journey everybody goes through. And this, of course, also from marketing point of view, but also from a point of view in general for creative people. So the think part is very important. Consideration to like, love, or dislike. So even you don't like it, that's also part of the thinking process. No, that's not the one that works for me, but that's the thinking process you go through. So I give you a kind of examples. This case is a song in Europe in the 2008. It was a very famous song in the summer. I really hate this song. I really hate this song. At first, because when I saw it, I was like, I don't like it. But they invested because it became a summer hit. You hear it in every bar. You hear it in every cafe. You hear it on the radio. So eventually, I like that song. So that is the investment you have. So I will hear you a part of the song. You probably don't like it at first. Well, this song goes on and on, but you can hear that the high pitch. Somehow I didn't like it before. I hated it at first, but when after that you hear it so much. Eventually, it is a strange thing that will happen in your mind, because it was summer. You celebrated with your friends on vacation on the beach, and you hear that song, and something it changed. That's the thinking process you go through. And that is a really weird big moment when you realize that. So yeah. So Apple, for example, that's already a brand a lot of people know. But at first, Apple was in the 80s, Apple was a kind of dull brand. It wasn't really like those are computers and that's it, it works. So they asked for a very famous director to actually create a commercial to make Apple a really famous brand, because they hired a director from the Apple point of view. We saw before challenging the status quo, especially that part. They want to actually promote themselves in 1984. This is the famous, after the book 1984 from George Orwell, they made a TV commercial out of that. And because of that, since then, a lot of people loved Apple, because not only from the commercial, but also of their way of thinking. So I will show the commercial.
The old standard of God, pure ideology, liberation of the secure in the essence of any conflict. If you are far from it, it's more on your earth. We are one result, one cause. And this shall flow themselves with it.
On January 24, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh, and you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
It's nowadays it would be feels a little bit old, but at that time that was so brand new. Also the way of thinking, also the values that Apple really promote, and Apple really accomplished that to buy or to sell a lot of computers. So that was the computer we talk about. I mean, it's not what we have today. It was still a kind of dull computer, but the marketing make it work to sell a lot of the Apple II computer. Nowadays, Apple is completely different, because they went through a decline first before they actually made the colorful ones, and they actually need to reinvent themselves. So Steve Jobs came back, and they actually make a lot of innovations, and of course a lot of famous colorful Apple computers what we know today, as well the iPhone. So come back on, not everybody got a great big marketing teams with all the resources, like you creative people. So ask the following to your clients. What you need to do is to have a big community eventually they love your artwork. It is do the following. Listen always to your clients. Okay, what are the clients' motivations? Focus on their why. Focus on the why. What are their beliefs and purposes? Find their passion and what they truly love. Connect and you feel what the client is believing. Be skeptic at times, be empathic when you believe it. Also, not only what you believe for yourself, but also what you believe in the clients. So if you use that passion, that love, that purpose, if you can actually extract that from that client, you probably have a long-standing relationship with your client to create a brand or create a product. So, and how clients believe in you and your designs and artwork. Believe in what you do. Use that energy. Show your passion. Try to explain, summarize that passion, purpose, and belief in one sentence. Be patient. Let the audience find you. Keep repeating your purpose and story. So the final slide is love your work, love what you do, convey that love, and believe. That's it.